Hi guys, and welcome to this other video. So today we are going to talk about FortiGate certificate. So in this video we are going to see what is a digital certificate, how it works, different types of certificates, default certificates on the FortiGate device, and how to generate new certificates, how to download and import certificates on endpoints. We also understand the FortiGate Certificate Store, and we'll do some practical tests on how to install, how to generate new certificate and install on a FortiGate device. So we will not go that much in deep in what is a digital certificate. So basically, digital certificate is just a digital identity that is produced and signed by a certificate authority. So the primary purpose of a certificate is to do authentication, encryption, decryption, and integrity. You want to secure communication between a client and a server. So one has a private key, the other one has the public key. So you need to ensure that communication that is sent from one endpoint to another, the information can be encrypted from one end and decrypted on the other end, depending on who has the primary key, the private key, and who has the public key. So this is the main purpose of digital certificates. So ensuring integrity, making sure that the communication is secure, and making sure that the entire data is transferred from one point to the other. So how does it work? So as we said, for digital certificates, each digital certificate is identified with a serial number that makes it very unique. And a digital certificate also has a validation period. Usually it is usually 1 year or 2 years, depending on the type of certificate that you are generating. Also, how does FortiGate use certificate to identify devices and endpoints? So usually FortiGate will use the subject and the SAN fields to identify the device. So the subject here, for example, will be like the certificate is designed to protect or to encrypt traffic that is going to training.fortinet.com. So this is the subject, and the SAN name here is like a mix of many information, like the DNS name you have here, like training.fortinet.com, the domain name, then you also have some other information. So for the certificate, we can organize certificate into 4 types, and we'll say 2 big categories. So for the types, we have default built-in certificates. So these are the certificates that are already built in our FortiGate device when we get a new FortiGate device. We also can do some self-signed CA certificates. So on our FortiGate, we can also generate new self-signed certificates signed by Let's Encrypt or by the FortiGate CA itself. You can also install on our FortiGate device company-owned private CA certificates. So we can install certificates that are being signed by our, let's say we have a company with Active Directory certificate services. So we can generate a service or a certificate on our company certificate authority, then install the certificate on our FortiGate device. Or we can use the publicly known method, that is using or generating a CSR file, then importing it to a publicly trusted CA like Sectigo, Digiset, or Komodo. Then we generate and validate the certificate, then we can install it on our FortiGate device. On the other hand, for the categories of the certificate, we had like 2 main categories. We have local certificates and we have remote certificates. So for each category, like for local certificate, we have local FortiGate certificates. So these are the certificates that are local to the FortiGate. This means these are the certificates that were generated from the FortiGate device, like the CSR was generated from the FortiGate device, or the certificate was self-signed directly on the FortiGate device. And we also have the local CA certificate. So the CA certificate is the certificate for the certificate authority. So like as I was saying in our, if you have an Active Directory environment where you have a certificate services role installed, so you can generate a certificate, local certificate for your FortiGate device from that CA, and you can also install the CA's certificate on your FortiGate device. So for remote certificates is the same. We have remote certificates. So remote server certificates are, on your FortiGate device, you don't have only certificates that are generated on your FortiGate. You also have certificates that are used by the other servers or other services. Let's say, for example, you have a web server in your infra or a web server anywhere around your infrastructure, and you want to enable some secure communication between your FortiGate device and the web server. So you need to install that web server's certificate on your FortiGate device. So that is considered as being a remote certificate. Also on your FortiGate device, you can install remote CA certificate. So on your FortiGate device, you will have like certificate for remote CAs like DigiCert or Fortinet itself, because Fortinet also can generate remote CA certificate and local CA certificates. So this is it. So talking about self-sign certificates or the default certificate that you see on your FortiGate devices, most of the time, depending on the FortiGate version that you are using, the firmware version that you are using, you mostly see one of these default HTTP certificates. So it's either being the self-sign, the Fortinet factory certificate, or the Fortinet new server certificate. So most of the time, these servers, these certificates, they have the same warning messages that says this server or this certificate will not be able to verify your server's domain name. It means in case you join your FortiGate to a domain name, like say like in your Active Directory or in a public domain name, these certificates will not be able to resolve this domain server's name. So you need to generate a new certificate from a trusted certificate authority. So you can generate a certificate from Let Encrypt. That would be good to go. Or you can use one of the method we show in the previous slides. It's noted that this FortiGate factory certificate, for example, it is the same certificate that you have on all FortiGate devices. So this certificate is a default certificate, and every attacker already knows how to get through this certificate. So it is not recommended at all to use these factory certificates. So always try to install new certificates for your HTTPS connectivity, secure connectivity. So if you want to generate a new certificate, what are the options that you have? Okay, so if you want to generate new certificate, it means that you don't want to use the default self-signed certificates that are built in your FortiGate device. So you either have the following options. So either you want to use the self-signed certificate. So self-signed certificate here, you can generate a trusted self-signed certificate with Let's Encrypt. Let's Encrypt will combine with the protocol called ACME. So the automated certificate management engine, then it will generate a self-signed certificate that you can use on your FortiGate device. Or you can also use a certificate, generate a new certificate from a self-signed certificate signed by the Fortinet Certificate Authority also. So for each of these method, some prerequisites are that you need on your FortiGate to enable DDNS, or you need to purchase a domain. So it means your FortiGate needs to be publicly resolvable. So you need to have like either a domain or you enable DDNS on your FortiGate device. Also, port 80 and 443 must not be in use by another service. So you make sure you don't use these ports are not used. And also, you make sure there is no virtual IPs that are available on the interface that you are going to use as the ACME interface. So here the ACME interface is going to be the the public interface or the interface of your FortiGate device that is facing internet. Let's say maybe the WAN interface. So you need to make sure that there is no virtual IP address that is bind to that WAN interface. Otherwise, you will not be able to generate a Let's Encrypt certificate. So also some limitation for the Let's Encrypt certificate are that you can the Let's Encrypt certificate are valid for 90 days, and then they will, most of the time they will auto renew. But in some cases, depending on the firmware version that you have, you might need to manually renew this certificate, or there is a service where you need to authenticate so that this auto renewal is done automatically. Also, you cannot generate wildcard certificates on the self-signed certificate. Wildcard certificates are like, for example, you want to, let's take for example, you have a domain like example.com, that you want to generate a certificate that will be used by any subdomain of example.com. Let's say you want to use the same certificate for secure communication for subdomains like training.example.com, vpn.example.com, anything.example.com. So wildcard certificates are certificates that you generate with the information such as star, with the common name of star.example.com. So with wildcard or with a self-signed certificate, you cannot generate a star.domainname.com certificate. You only need to generate a direct name or direct domain name certificate. So for self-signed certificate, if you have like three domains, three subdomains, as I was saying, training.example.com, vpn.example.com, anything.example.com, then for self-signed certificate, you will need to create three certificates, so one certificate for each subdomain. So either you are using the self-signed certificate, or you prefer to use certificates from well-known certificate authorities, CA certificate authorities. So as I said in the previous slide, if in your Active Directory, for example, let's say you are in a company, you have like an Active Directory forest, you have like 300 users, something like that, domain controllers and so on. So, and you have like multiple services in your Active Directory that need to be secured. So like you want to use security for your FortiGate devices, for your other network devices, for securing LDAPs, like LDAPs or VPN or websites, internal website that you have. So it might be interesting to install the Active Directory certificate services. So when you install this, you install this role on a member server on your domain. Then this member server will become the certificate authority of your Active Directory forest. So from there, now you can generate certificates that are signed by this certificate authority to generate certificate and install on these assets. Or either you use the third-party publicly known certificate authorities such as Certigo, Comodo CA, Global Sign, DZSet, and so many other third-party certificates, publicly known certificate authorities. So for prerequisite for this is to have so from the device that you want to secure the communications, you generate a CSR, so a certificate signing request. Then you send this request to the certificate authority. Then to authenticate or to validate to prove to the certificate authority that you own the domain for which you want a certificate, you need to have to prove the ownership that you have the domain name, and you will be asked, for example, to create a DNS record on your DNS host to prove that you are the owner of the domain. Or you either do it through a DNS record or through some information they will send to you through an email. So what is good about a certificate from trusted CAs is that these certificate validities can be customized. So rather than having a 90-day certificate for the self-sign let encrypt certificates here you can customize the validity period for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. This depends on you. And you can also create wildcard certificates on certificate authorities. So once these certificates are created and generated, now you need to install the certificate on the endpoint. So if you are installing a certificate like on a FortiGate device, so you just go under system certificates, then you select under create and import, you go on certificate, then you will choose import certificate. So from here, you will be asked to select the certificate file from your workstation. Either it is a .cer file or CRT or PFX or something else. So you just import the certificate. If you want to import the certificate on your workstations, let's say like Windows workstations, so you just go under certificates on your local computer certificates, then you go under the menu you want to import the certificate, then just right click, then do import, then you import the certificate on your workstation. In case you have like multiple workstations, as we said, if you are in an Active Directory environment and you have like 300 workstation, so you will not do this task one host or one workstation at a time. So you can use a GPO, group policy object, to push the certificate to all the workstation that you have on your Active Directory. So finally, let's talk about the certificate store. So after you create multiple certificates under your FortiGate system and certificate, you see this store. So from here, you need to understand where each certificate goes and what is the meaning of each section of this certificate store. So in this store, you have like four sections. The first section here will be CRL. The CRL is the section where you have certificate revocation list. So here you have all certificates that have been revoked. So a certificate can be revoked for multiple reasons. It can either have the private key of a certificate got compromised, the certificate got accessed by an unauthorized entity, the certificate may be expired since a while, so or the certificate has some errors during the time you were using it. So there are multiple reasons why a certificate can get revoked. So each time a certificate is revoked, the system will update the information and provide the updated list of revoked certificate here. After that, you have the local CA certificate. As it's mentioned, CA, it means here you have a certificate for certificate authorities. So here you have certificate like for Fortinet, you have certificate like for Acme. So Acme is the protocol used by Let Encrypt to generate certificates. So every local certificate authority that you are using in your environment, you might have the certificate of that certificate authority available in this section. Below now you have the local certificates. So local certificates are the certificates that are set local to your FortiGate devices. So these are the certificate, most of the time, certificate that you generated by yourself or default one that came with your FortiGate device. So also in this section, you have like any pending CSR. So this is a CSR request that you created, and this certificate is being pending, waiting for validation from the certificate authority. So here for each certificate, you have the subject name, you have some comment, you have who issued the certificate, the expiration date, the status, is it valid or is it pending or it's expired. You also see the source. So you will see most of the time users, it means these are the certificate that were generated by you, the user, or the factory is the one that came directly with your FortiGate device. Then below you see in this other section is the remote CA certificates. As we said, on your FortiGate device, you don't have only the local certificates, you also have like certificate for other servers, as I said, like web server, other servers that you interact during your activity. So here you also have the remote CA certificate. The CA certificate, as I said, you have certificates like for certification authorities like Sectigo, DigiCert, Fortinet itself, and so on. So this is it for the FortiGate Certificate Store. We're going to do some practicals. We have like 2 labs. The first lab will be deploying certificates, or let's say generate a certificate from an Active Directory certificate authority. So here we are going to install Active Directory certificate services row, configure it, generate a certificate from our FortiGate, or generate a CSR from our FortiGate device, then import and validate the certificate here, then install it on our FortiGate device. So we also have a second lab, which is going to be installing or creating a certificate from Let's Encrypt. So here we'll see, talk about the prerequisite, generate the Let's Encrypt certificate, install it on the FortiGate device, and see how to install also the certificates, CA certificate on the workstation. Then we'll do this testing. So guys, stay tuned. Let's meet in the next video.